My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and tonight we are going to be working with a few different stamp sets. Let me just show you the main two, but I am going to sneak in a couple other things, so we'll do that as we go along. But we're going to be working with Grassy Grove, and we're also going to be combining it with Wildlife Wonder. In my opinion, they just belong together. I cannot work with one without the other. So we're going to be working with that tonight. So these are the cards that I, created prior to the live, just to give some ideas. So I have a lot to go over. The first thing I want to say is if you are interested in learning more about my projects and what I do, you can find me on my blog at www.stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. So let me know. Be sure to say hi if you get a chance to stop by live or even in the replay. Let me know how the weather is where you are or what you guys are up to tonight. So we're going to recreate these cards, but before I do that, let me just go over a few things like I've been saying. So our new catalog, let's start there. Our new catalog is coming out. All of the products that are inside this catalog are launching on May 3rd. We have 2 days left. Oh my goodness. So cannot wait until that launches. If you haven't received your catalog from me yet, go ahead and, send me an email or direct message me. Let me know if you haven't received it yet. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is the In Color Club. And the other thing I should say about the catalog is if you're new and you're interested in getting a catalog, you don't already have a demonstrator, please reach out to me. I would love to send you one. So I want to talk about the In Color Club because today is the last day to sign up for it. So I am doing my first In Color Club this year. And if you're interested in signing up, I have a post on my Facebook page. I also have a post on my blog where you can find that information. I'm not going to go over every single thing, but for 5 months, it's basically a membership. And for 5 months, we're going to collect all of the really fabulous, fun, brand new In Color products, one color at a time. So one color per month. And I'm actually billing through PayPal. So if you guys have any questions about that, you can just let me know. And then I'll order up all of your products and get everything sent in a nice package to you. I'm also going to be doing an exclusive tutorial, an exclusive card. People who sign up for my In Color Club are going to get my host code gift for the month, which will be an embellishment from the new catalog. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. Now, as I say all of this to you, I do want to give you a heads up in case you have not already heard. I've pretty much started posting it everywhere. Stampin' Up! Is going to be offering a starter kit special in the month of May. So from the 3rd through the 31st, they're going to be offering a really amazing starter kit offer that will include some free In Color products. So if you feel like you have some questions and you want to talk to me about which one is the better choice for you, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm not going to go over every single thing with the starter kit because it doesn't start today, but I do want you to be aware of it. So if you want to get in on the In Color Club, go ahead and sign up for that. If you have questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to you. Okay, so let's do the fun stuff now. So before I start making these cards, the Grassy Grove bundle is on low inventory. I just wanted to shout that out because I know that this one has been very popular. The dies are just so good. The stamps are too. And I really wanted to try to create some cards more with the stamp set than the dies. But I did use a couple. I used the deer. I used the 2 deer dies from that bundle. So just depending on what you want to do. But we're going to do neutrals with this particular card set tonight that we're making. So if you want to craft along with me, these are the 2 stamp sets, and then I'm going to sneak in just a little bit of love and happiness. I'm going to be using the For My Husband sentiment, and I'm going to be using this fancy little die, which I love, from that bundle. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, some of the other products that we're going to be using for these cards, we're going to be using the neutrals colors. I'm going to be using the classic matte dots. I thought that for our color palette, it was absolutely perfect. We have our black, white, and basic gray here. And then here we have crumb cake, very vanilla, and early espresso. And then the ink shade here is soft suede. And then the ink shade here, we have both the memento and then also smoky slate. Okay, so just depending on, you know, what color combinations you want to use. But we have the white, the very vanilla, the basic gray, and the black dots. So it covers your bases regardless of which color palette that you choose to work with. The other thing I'm going to be incorporating is our faux suede trim. And the faux suede trim is going to go onto our two sort of brown themed cards here. And this is a 1/4 inch thick with the faux suede trim. I love this. I don't use this enough, but for some reason, you guys, I am on a complete and total kick with color collections right now. We've gone through the brights and the subtles and the neutrals, so the regals are clearly next. But I'm going to be using my standard card size tonight. So this is an early espresso card base. This is that 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4. All right, and then we're going to do a very vanilla layer for the inside of our card, and that's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. We're also going to be doing the outsides here, so let me just show you that. We'll just fold this up, and I wanted to do really thin borders with this particular card. And we're going to age, we're going to do some stamping, but we're going to kind of give like an aged look to our cards tonight. So our crumb cake layer is going to be 3.5 by 5. We're going to have very vanilla in 3 by 9/16 by 5 1/16. And that is just so that we can have that 1/16 of an inch border all the way around our layer for the outside of our card. You're going to need a piece of that faux suede trim long enough to wrap around, you know, your card layer there. And then our sentiment piece is going to be 5/8 by 3.5. And again, that's in very vanilla. And then we're also going to have our two deer in the early espresso. The first one that we're going to be doing is a background of the deer. Okay, so pretty simple stamping. I'm going to do my loose clear block to kind of just stamp around. We're going to use our Stamparatus for the words a little bit later, but that's just something to, you know, keep in mind. So I'm going to get my soft suede ink out. Okay. Just put my pieces slightly off to the side here. We'll come back to those in a minute. All right, and so basically what I want to do is just stamp my deer all over the crumb cake layer. And then we're going to kind of, you know, mess it up a little bit with the ink. So I'm going to get my, my deer, and this is on clear block D. And then we're just going to start stamping. I couldn't remember if I used soft suede or crumb cake, but I'm pretty sure it's soft suede. So let me just check this out. Yeah. Okay. So you can do this clean, or you can kind of age the paper like, you know, like I did. So you can stamp wherever you are comfortable with your background. I just say have fun with it. You can either have them all going in the same direction, or you can have them, you know, at an angle, like throughout your paper. I kind of do my backgrounds both ways, just depending on, you know, the size of the stamp and all of that. Let's see if I can go down a little bit with this one. And then go down here a little bit. I kind of messed that up. Maybe I should do that again, but we're going to have our other deer here, so I think it's fine. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of go around these edges. And we can add in some bits and some pieces here. And then down here, let me see if I can fit just some ears popping up down on this part. And maybe just right over there. Just one random ear, okay? And then if you're not happy with your background stamping, you could always flip it over and just restamp it on the other side, but I think that this is going to be fine. So you can see that between the two layers right here, that this one looks a lot more kind of aged than this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of dirty it up a little bit. So I'm just going to take my ink pad, and the way that I usually start doing this, especially if you're not used to doing it this way, is just kind of start just by edging and getting sort of like a real thin border with your ink around your layer. Now, if you don't want to put your paper straight to the ink pad or your cardstock straight to the ink pad, you can use tools. We have the blending brushes. We have the mini daubers, the sponge daubers for your fingers, because this can kind of, scrape up your ink pads if you're not, if you're not careful. And so once you get your your four sides done, I'm going to start kind of angling it a little bit more to the paper so that we're getting sort of like a thicker line here. And we're just going to do that again all the way around. It's okay if it's uneven. That's kind of, that's kind of the point. So we're going to go to the four corners next and just kind of age that up a little. And then I'm going to come around. Okay. And definitely, like, if you're kind of at the beginner point of kind of aging paper or doing your techniques, it's definitely up to you if you prefer a tool or if you want to do this, kind of the ink pad way like I am. But you can either stop right here and just have that like soft kind of almost like a filtered edging here and not go, too crazy. But what I did with this one is I kind of went all over the layer. So I am going to go all over the layer. And I'm going to be careful with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very lightly start to take the ink pad, just the top of the ink pad, and just kind of scrape it on my paper. Just real gentle rubs here. And the idea is to keep it light-handed. You don't want your ink pad to be too wet. If it's too wet, it kind of won't give the look. So you might want to, focus on your drier ink pads for this. And then I just keep rotating my layer until I get happy with the look. Okay. And you can go like direct to the paper and go straight down. I'll show you on the other side. So you could like do it this way and you'll kind of get those aged streaks like this. And a lot of people will do like faux wood grain this way. But I felt like it was a little too much with this particular layer. But you can decide. But you can see that whether you choose to kind of go straight down and kind of put pressure on it, it will have more of like a look like this than if you go kind of like around and about like that. But the more you do this and just kind of touch those spots, and what I'm doing is I'm taking my finger and I'm pressing the cardstock to the ink pad just really slightly, and that will catch that color. So hopefully that's a good description. So you can see like it's looking pretty good, but we have this light spot right here and I want the whole paper to look older. So I'm actually going to try to focus on getting some color there too. So we're just going to be careful. We're going to take our time and just try to get all the spots. And I love how that looks. And even right here, it still looks a little bit new, right? So you can just kind of eyeball it and decide where your happy place is. I love this. I love how that looks. Okay, and so here we end up getting our layer. And if you're making, you know, masculine themed cards, or you really want to go with like a clean, simple line like we're doing here, this is the most of the work that you'll have to do for your card. So I'm just going to set, we're going to need this off suede in a minute, but I'm going to set that aside. And then we can stamp, let's see. Let's build our layer first, and then we'll do a little more stamping. We'll just take a break from stamping for a second. Okay, so now I'm just going to line this up. Okay, I think that looks really good. So just use whatever adhesive you prefer. I'm just going to grab my Stampin' Seal Plus because it's here, but you can certainly use your glue, your multi-purpose glue. Uh-oh. Oh, you guys, we have thunder. Oh, I hear thunder out there. Okay, so I'm just gonna, whenever you have a really tight border, I just like to kind of take my time lining it up before I set it down, especially because I'm using the Seal Plus. And if I think that that looks good at the top, I'll just set it down here. Okay. All right. And so we're going to take this piece of the faux suede trim, which I already cut a piece off. And this piece is about, let's see how long it is. This is longer than it needs to be. I tend to be generous when I cut my ribbon. So I have about 6.5 inches here. All right. And you can kind of find your spot. If you do what I did and you kind of have like a blank area, that's usually where I'll focus my embellishments. So I'm going to focus my ribbon kind of being over that. And then what I'm going to do this time is I'm actually going to put a little bit of adhesive on the front because this faux suede trim moves around a little bit. So most of the ribbon is just real light and thin and airy, and it's not a problem. But for this one, I like that little bit of extra adhesive here, kind of covering up that deer's face. So I'm going to go a little bit lower. Okay. And then we're going to go around to the back, and I'm just going to adhere these two pieces to the back. And then let's go ahead and get our cards down. Get some more adhesive on that. Pick that up. You guys can see I've got the ink on my fingers. This is definitely an inky finger project. You may need to wipe your hands in between. So I'm just going to center this now. Okay. All right, and so we can do a little more stamping. So let me just show you guys. We're going to turn it this way for this card. We're going to do landscape. This is what the inside of the card looks like. So the deer is crumb cake, and then just this little bit of brush right here. That is in soft suede. So let me grab crumb cake. And I'm just going to clean off my deer really quick. It is pouring here. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I don't know if my microphone picks that up. I'm working right next to a window. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this crumb cake. Do the lighter deer for the inside of the card. And now we'll get the soft suede. You could even go darker. You could do the early espresso if you would want for that little bit of brush. And that's this stamp right here. And what I did was, you'll see it like the stamp image like slopes down. So the lower slope part I have like right here on the deer's foot, and then it kind of goes up along with the deer here. and then that's how that ends up looking. So we can go ahead and add that piece. That's the one that's already done. All right, let's see. My seal and I, we haven't been getting along too well today. Usually it doesn't give me a problem, but today I've had to get it going a lot. I might have it like off of its wheel or whatever that mechanical piece is that it slides. Okay, so there's the inside. Now let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment, which in this one is sending birthday wishes. Okay, so let me put these little pieces over here. Here it is. Okay, so this is going to be in soft suede. So at least with the colors, it's not too complicated. Pretty simple with our shades tonight. And just keep in mind, if you're using the soft suede all over everything like I am, it might get a little bit lighter. So we're going to pop this up on dimensionals right here. And then we're just going to take our two little deer and put our deer right along the ribbon. Or you could put it like down in the corner, just depending on what you want to do. So let's put our deer down first. Just going to use my seal for this, but if you want to use the fine tip glue, if you want to get the legs down and everything, I would probably recommend that. But just for the sake of time, I will kind of do it the quicker way. Okay, and then we have our little fawn here, and let me just pull down this adhesive. I just don't want the adhesive to show behind the baby. And then in terms of spacing, let's just do it like slightly. There we go. So almost right next to mama there. Okay, so then we'll pop this one up on dimensionals. This is from one of my paper pumpkin kits. I went through that pretty quick. Okay. All right, and then when I'm done with this card, I'll go back through comments and then we'll get started on card number 2. My lives have been so brief lately. It's funny seeing the bottom of this deer, but like not the top. Let me just set that down. And again, I'm pretty much just centering it. Okay. And my lives have been so brief lately. I thought let's do a meaty one. We'll do 4 cards tonight. Why not? Okay, so now I'm coming in with those classic matte dots. Totally optional, you guys. This is if you want to add them. I thought they had a really nice touch. For those of you who love very vanilla, and look at what I did. I totally forgot to edge that. So on this one, I edged it in the soft suede, this little sentiment piece. On this one, I did not, and I think you can definitely tell, but you can decide which one you like better. So I'm going to use the Very Vanilla matte dots here, and we're just going to put some of these down. Just do pretty much like the same places. There we go, and then we'll do another little one over here. Okay, and so here are our 2 cards, and let me just open this up, and there's the inside. So if you guys kind of like that sepia tone look, you know, I think that this is a perfect card for whoever you want to make this for. And we're pretty much going to do that look with everything that we do tonight. So our second card, let me pull this one out. Our second card here, back during the holidays, I had done a sentiment background with the, do you guys remember the angel stamp set? I had done this like stamped background with the angel stamp set, and everybody really liked that. So that's something that I kept in the back of my mind, and I wanted to do that look again. And I liked the sentiments from both of these stamp sets. I thought that they worked well together. So I decided to do a sentiment background on this one. And then instead of using those sentiments for the main sentiment on the card, I decided to get another set. It's totally up to you. You could do a rectangle here. You could repeat one of the sentiments and not have to worry about a third stamp set. I know that that's a bit much, but I just decided to customize it a little bit more and do that for my husband from the Love and Happiness bundle. So I am going to add in that piece just so that you guys know that these two particular things are from Love and Happiness and the rest are from Grassy Grove and Wildlife Wonder. So I used my Stamparatus for the background. Okay. And then, I've already set up the sentiments basically. So, you know, I've used this many times, but if this is your first time here, your first time watching, what I will do is I will arrange and set up my stamps however I want, and then I pick them up with my plate. And what I'm looking for is these little grooves and corners where I feel like the sentiments kind of come together almost like a puzzle, where they're just kind of nesting in. And I like that they sort of have the same theme. So with the holiday set, it was all about you know, it was all about Christmas, I think. And with this one, we have thank you to a great guy. You know, you need to know that somebody really cares and that you mean so much and you're so good, right? And for all the great things that you do. So just in that background, you're showing your gratitude and your support, and you're letting them know that you think that they're a great guy. And I just think that that's really sweet. So I just nested these together. So these are sentiments from both stamp sets, Grassy Grove and also Wildlife Wonder. And now I'm going to take this piece here. So this is Crumb Cake. This is 3.5 by 5. And then we're just going to set this down. The concept here is that it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up. It's okay if some of our words are cut off because this is meant to be more of a background. But we're gonna stamp with this. So I'm just gonna get this into position where I feel like I'm gonna hit on all of the areas. And then I'm gonna put my magnets down. Okay, and we're gonna ink this up. I'm gonna ink this up. And you can see in terms of the aging, we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing. The first layer for the outside is also going to be 4 by 5.25. But this one, I don't know if you guys can see here, I kind of frayed the edges a little bit with the scissors. Still looks new because the Very Vanilla, I didn't mess with that or ink that up or anything like that. So it's up to you if you want to ink it. You know, I think it'd look really great with like Crumb Cake. But what I'm going to do is just kind of take the edge of my scissors here and just start pulling up on those fibers and scraping it up a little bit. You can also do the tearing, right? So if you want to have that like slight uneven torn edge or like a deckled edge, I think that would be really cool with this card. But I'm going to do just a quick, kind of pulling out those fibers, and it is, you can see I'm getting like little bits here, and I'm going to blow those off in a minute. This just kind of gives it and adds to that aged look. I'm trying not to hold this over my ink pad. I should have closed it. Close your ink pads before you do this. Okay. Let me set that over there. All right, so just real basic. And we're also going to add in that faux suede trim again. Going to do the same thing. Now you can see this is where my slight gap was. So this is where I'm going to focus my ribbon. And I'm going to do, or I should say trim. And I'm going to do the same thing where I put just a little bit of adhesive on the front of the ribbon. And I think a glue dot would be perfect here.
Okay, so let me talk to you a little bit about my email list. If you are not already on my email list, there is a link in the description of this video where you can sign up. This is the first place that I announce classes, events, you know, just for example, my In Color Club. I will give sneak previews to my Facebook Live projects on my email list. It's a great place to be if you want to stay informed, if you want crafty inspiration. You can go ahead and click that link and get signed up for my email list, and that will keep you in the know of everything that's going on with stamping with Hart. So if you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can leave me a comment. You can direct message me on Instagram or Facebook. I always say I appreciate comments on videos, and I appreciate your feedback. I really do listen, especially if I'm hearing the same thing from a large group of people. I know if there's something that you're really loving, or if there's something that maybe you would like to see more or less of.
So on this card here, what I decided to do was cover the entire card front with the basic gray layer. So you can see the back of the card is actually the basic black. Totally up to you. If you guys want to use a basic gray card base, do that. This was a happy accident where I was cutting things to size, and I loved how this looked on top of the card. So this is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for this particular piece. We are going to do the stamp sentiment background exactly like we did with the other card, but we're going to be adding in some freehand stamping of this this sort of shadow image here on this card base. Okay, so let me show you guys what I mean, and then we'll do our wolf card last.
So you can see as I go through this process, basically we have a similar card layout, but 2 different color combinations. So you can either go with the warm tones, which is the very vanilla, the early espresso, the soft suede, or you can go for a cooler look here with the basic white, the basic black, and the basic gray. When I was aging this particular paper, I felt like I made it a little bit too dark. But overall, once the ink dries and, you know, once you play around with it, you can get it to a place where you like it. Now, there is this sort of shadow stamp that they included with this Wildlife Wonder set that goes underneath the animals when you stamp it. And I am obsessed with that stamp. I used it all over the place. I created backgrounds with it. I created framed edges with it. I like to stamp it more than once. You can see it stamped several times underneath the bear. We're about to do that right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 times. And I just like that layered look with this particular style of stamp that we have here. Now I did grab my Stampin' Blends in Crumb Cake Dark and also Smoky Slate Dark. I felt like the basic black was a little too dark for the bear, especially because the shading is so beautiful on the stamp set itself. It's not necessary to color it, but I just wanted to add a little bit extra there, you know. So here you can just see me kind of coloring in that bear. We're going to fussy cut them out, but if you are not a fan of fussy cutting, no worries. You just stamp your bear directly onto that stitched rectangle in between the shadow and the sentiment, and it's going to be just fine. The last card that we make, I actually do that with the wolf and the sentiment, so no worries. That's a really easy adjustment. I really wanted this to kind of pop off the paper a little bit, pop off the card, especially because these cards are a little on the They're a little bit more on the clean edge side, meaning there's not a lot of frills. There's not a ton of layers to these cards. The gray and black cards in particular don't even have the faux trim. So if you're trying to make masculine cards, or you're trying to make cards that have a little bit more of a clean line look, even though we are aging or weathering, the way the cardstock background looks, this is a good option for you. So you can see me going in here and creating this sort of frame around the edges of this basic white layer. That's with the smoky slate ink, and I'm going back in if there's any little white spots left over, just kind of filling those in. You certainly don't have to, but oh my gosh, do I absolutely love that stamp. I've been using it all over the place. So for the last card, it's the same exact format. We're just using different stamps. The one thing that I will say about this card is that the image of the wolf and a sentiment are part of the background in this case. So up until now, it was either just the deer or just sentiments everywhere. Now this is a combination of the animal and the sentiment. As part of our background, I'm even going in and adding some texture and some shadow with that shadow stamp again. This is all being done with the smoky slate as well. This is where I get a little bit ambitious and make it a little too dark in one corner. So I just adjusted my card so that my layer covered that corner where I just got a little bit too dark. But you could always flip your cardstock and redo it on the other side. Just be patient with yourself when you're creating background stamps. So as I start to sum up this video, I'll ask you guys a question. With the new catalog, what would you like to see from me? Would you be interested in seeing a catalog walkthrough, which I'm most likely going to do, but I would love your feedback on that. Would you like to see an online card class? Let me know. I have had really positive feedback about doing our own backgrounds on cards before. I know that masculine card ideas are huge. So if you like seeing more of that, let me know. I'm always interested in what you guys have to say and what you want to see. I don't know if you make cards for Memorial Day. If you're interested in that, leave me a comment below. If you'd rather, skip to Mother's Day or all occasion, or even if you want to jump right into all of the June occasions like Father's Day, weddings, engagement, graduation, let me know what you're interested in seeing, and I will be sure to take all of that feedback into account so that I can create some great projects and videos for you here on my channel. If you are not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button. I do crafting tutorials every week, and I would love to have you here as part of my channel. You'll get notifications if you click the bell anytime I post a new video.